Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Anambra, there lived a lovely young lady named Emera. Emera was married to a handsome and wealthy young man named Orum, and their marriage was a very beautiful one. They were happy, healthy, and wealthy, and they even had 3 beautiful daughters. However, there was just one thing lacking in their home: a son. This made both of them very sad. Although Orum loved his wife very much and was knowledgeable enough to understand that he was the one who determined the sex of their children, still felt the weight of their longing for a son. Children, not his wife, he still couldn't help but feel quite frustrated at the thought of never having a son. He wanted someone with whom he could wear matching outfits and whom he could teach how to play football. Orum had thought several times about stepping outside his marriage to try his luck for a son, but he could not because he hated the idea of polygamy so much. He had grown up in a polygamous home and had experienced first-hand sibling rivalry, and wickedness from stepmother had made him vow that he would never have 2 wives, so his children would never have to experience all the things he suffered while growing up. But now, Orum was beginning to rethink his life decisions about not taking a second wife. Emera, on the other hand, was also frustrated. She had prayed and begged God for a son right from her first pregnancy because even before they got married, her husband Orum had been drumming it into her ears how he couldn't wait to have a son. From the very first pregnancy, Emera had to drink all sorts of herbs and concoction and had also done all manner of calculation just so she would get a son. But all her calculations and projections had failed, and Emera and Orum, who were not just a couple but lovebirds, were beginning to drift apart because they did not have a boy. Things did not get any easier for Emera because her sister-in-law Fezi, whom she disliked and who disliked her as well, and who also lived in their house, was a thorn in her flesh. Fezi was Orum's only sister. His mother, and although she was younger than Emera, never showed Emera, her older brother's wife, any respect. She would not greet Emera in the morning and would even speak to her rudely. Sometimes Emera reported Fezi to her husband Orum severe, but Orum did nothing about it. In his eyes, his baby sister could not know wrong. So, because Emera did not want to give Fezi the upper hand in her marriage, she decided that she was not going to be in conflict with her husband over Fezi. So, Emera tried her best to avoid Fezi and made sure that she never reported or complained about her to her husband. But now that the relationship between Emera and her husband was getting strained because of the lack of a male child, Fezi became bold. Each time Emera was in the kitchen cooking, Fezi would go into the kitchen pretending that she needed something and would say things like, some people have finished eating all the male children in their wombs. Now the time has come for my brother, so that he will not have a male child of his own, someone to bear his name and carry on his legacy. God forbid wickedness in high places. Anyway, as far as I am alive, my brother must have a son. Not on my watch will a mad woman and my brother's lineage be mocked. Fezi would say while mocking Emera. Her sister-in-law Emera would usually run to her room afterwards and break down in tears. And soon this became a daily occurrence. The routine of Fezi did not give her sister-in-law any breathing space. Every day she kept tormenting and taunting Imara, and soon she graduated from just taunting and tormenting Imara to bringing her friends home to hook them up with her brother. Fezi brought girls of all shapes and sizes. Sometimes even two girls sleep with her brother in Imara's home. Initially, Aaron pretended like he did not know what was happening or what his sister was trying to do. But soon he began to succumb to the temptation and started sleeping with these girls. Their need for a male child. Imara, on the other hand, was helpless but encouraged herself and stopped crying. Yes, she could not stop feeling because she knew that her husband wouldn't let her, and her husband might just be looking for an opportunity to send her out of the house. So instead, Imara went on her knees and began to pray. Every day she would wake up at midnight and make declarations saying, "Oh, you are my husband. You will never be able to impregnate another woman except for me. I will be the only woman who will ever carry your child for all the days of your life. I call your senses back and I break your sister's hold over you." Imara will pray violently at night, and she did this every single day. One day, Fezi had come to Taunt and challenged her sister Imara again when she was in the kitchen, saying, "Some people will be here and another woman will come and give birth to a son for my brother. And you know how it is now in this land. It is the woman who gives birth to his son that is the real owner of the house. As far as I'm concerned, you stay here in just tentative. Very soon you'll be kicked out. You know these things now," Faye said, mocking her sister-in-law at this point. Imara had gotten to her. She could not take it any longer. She lashed out at her and said, "What is it? Why are you doing this? Remember that you're a woman like me, and I am not even childless. It's just that I do not have a son. And of course, you know that it is the man who is responsible for having a son. Besides, don't you remember that you are also a woman like me? You are not even married. You don't know what the future holds for you. You don't even know if you will have children of your own. Yet here you are, taunting and tormenting me, making my life miserable in my own home." Imara snapped back, angry at God. "God forbid if it is a curse. I can never be born. I will have male and female children, as many as I want." Faye replied back angrily. So Imara continued to pray hard and fervently for her marriage is her home, and for God to bless her with his sons. A few months later, Imara was busy attending to her daughters and helping them with their homework when her husband walked up to her, went down on his knees, crying and weeping, and then said, "Imara, my angel, I'm so sorry for all the stress and headaches that I have put you through in the past 9 months. How I insulted you by sleeping with other women in our home. How I constantly nagged about having a son. I am also very sorry for how I allowed my sister to disrespect you in our home. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, my love. I don't care whether or not we have a male child. You and my girls are my world, and I will not trade what I have now for what I do not have," Emara said, weeping profusely. Emara was very shocked but happy at the same time, and she forgave her husband on the spot and then said, "Forgive me, my love, but what happened? Why the 180 degrees change out of the blue?" Emara looked confused and then went on to narrate how he has been struggling in his business since he started mistreating her and sleeping around. He mentioned that some of his spiritually sensitive friends had told him that he was facing all those difficulties because his wife wasn't happy with him. Emerald went further to say, "I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry because my business is doing very badly at the moment. But because I have come to realize that you mean so much to me and you make my life very better. Besides, what is the point actually in losing the beautiful family that I have now for one that I do not even have? It doesn't make any sense," Oram said, crying and begging. So in the days that followed, Oram and Emara were once again united and living in peace. They had noticed the development between her brother and his wife, but there was absolutely nothing that she could do about it. She was just so upset that her brother and his wife had made peace and were once again a happy family. Faye began to walk on eggshells around her sister-in-law because she knew that she had lost the wall and that if she made one single, she was afraid that if she made a mistake, she would be kicked out and become homeless. But a few months later, she met a handsome, tall, wealthy young man named Emeka, who fell in love with her instantly. In less than 3 months, they both got married. She was so happy now. She had left her brother's house and was living in her own home. Her husband Emeka treated her so well and pampered her. Less than 2 months after getting married, she found out that she was pregnant, which made her very excited. One day she sat down, drinking orange juice, and then thought aloud to herself, saying, "Where is that sister-in-law of mine that witch who said that I may not get pregnant just because I told her to give my brother a male child? Is this not me, who is barely 2 months married yet? I'm already pregnant and I can feel it. I can sense in my spirit that it is a boy. This is my husband's first son," Faye said with a wicked grin on her face. So Faye continued to enjoy her pregnancy and live her life to the fullest. A few months later, Faye gave birth to a bouncing baby boy. When the doctor handed the baby over to her, the smile on her face disappeared. There was something different about her baby. The baby looked too small, and Faye did not really give it much thought. After that, all it was just a baby. The baby would still grow, Faye thought to herself. So Faye went back home with her newborn baby. However, a few months later, Faye began to realize that her baby was not growing as much as she thought he would, considering that both she and her husband were quite tall. 2 years later, her fear was confirmed. Her beloved son, whom they had named Huko, was a dwarf. Her husband was very upset and accused her of cheating on him, saying, "Faye, how did you give birth to a dwarf? This is definitely not my son. Who did you sleep with? Because this is not my son. There is no dwarf in my lineage." Emeka said, screaming angrily, "Oh, my love, why are you talking like this? Now she meets me as a virgin if I did not sleep with any man as a single lady. Is it as a married woman that I would now start sleeping around? I do not know why our son is a dwarf, but it is possible that one of us has a dwarf gene in our received genes. Maybe that is why we birth a dwarf. Fei said, begging and crying. But from that day onwards, Emeka and Fei were always at loggerheads. A few months later, Fei found out that she was pregnant, and this time she prayed very hard. She prayed so well, attended all her antenatal lectures, and was very careful during her pregnancy, eating lots of fruit and protein. Fei prayed like she had never done before in her life. She prayed that her baby, she would not be born a dwarf this time. She was so scared of what her husband would do her if she gave birth a dwarf again. So 9 months later, she went into labor and gave birth in 2 beautiful baby girls. When the doctor handed over her baby girls to her, she was so happy. They looked just fine. She was excited. All her prayers and hard working eating healthy had paid off. She went back home excited, and her husband was also very happy. However, as her beautiful daughters grew, she began to notice that one of her twin daughters, Adora, was deaf, and the other one, Daisy, was dumb. She was so sad. She went to the hospital, and the doctor confirmed her fears. At this point, her husband Emeka had reached his breaking point. He would always shout at Fei and saying, "The first time you give a dwarf, I said just maybe yes in our received gene. That's okay. Maybe one of our forefathers was a dwarf and we did not know about it. Of course, that is not our fault. But now that even our daughters Adora and Lazy all have special ability. Adora is a deaf and Lazy is a dumb. Now I know that is definitely not normal. You are a cursed woman, and your curse is affecting my children, and it starts affecting my business and may even drag me down to become poor." And he screamed angrily at his wife. Fei was so sad. She wondered where she had gone wrong. She kept on begging and pleading with her husband. She even began to go from one prayer house to another, trying to find out what the problem was. That it was after she had gone to several prayer houses that the pastor told her that she had mocked the woman for not giving birth to his son, the cause of all her problems. Then Fei suddenly remembered that she had indeed made her sister-in-law's life miserable because she did not give breast to a male child for a brother. Fei wept and wept, and she regretted her actions. She did not know that there were going to be any consequences for her actions. After several days of thinking and feeling frustrated, Fei decided to go and beg her sister-in-law Emerald. Upon getting to her brother's house, Fei was shocked to find out that they now had 2 boys alongside their 3 daughters. Emerald and her husband had done IVF, and that was how they were able to get their 2 sons. Fei was so ashamed of herself. She looked at her sister-in-law and said, "Emerald, I'm so sorry. I should never have mocked for you, not having a son for my brother. Now see how Karma has paid me back. My first son is a dog, and one of my daughters is deaf, while the other one is dumb. Now my marriage is at stake. My husband thinks that I am cursed and wants nothing to do with me for fear that I might bring him down. I'm so sorry, Emerald. Please find a place in your heart to forgive me." Faye said as she broke down in tears. It's okay, really it is. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through this to learn that you should not mock a burned woman for not having a child, or a poor person for being poor, or a sick person for being sick. Sometimes it's not your fault. Never mock anyone with your point of pain. How could you? You were not even married and you didn't even know whether or not you would have a child of your own. Yet you mocked me and taunted me non-stop for not having a male child. Was that not foolishness? Now see your life. Anyway, the truth is, I have never prayed for anything bad to happen to you. I didn't even need to pray because it just happened. But I forgive you. I really forgive you, and I am so sorry that you have to go through all this. Emera said as she hugged Faye tightly. Faye cried and cried. However, a few months later, Faye's husband Emeka could not take it any longer. He was tired of Faye and their children. He was sure that Faye brought bad luck. He felt that she was cursed and did not want anything to do with her again. So he sent her out of their home. Faye wept and wept profusely. So Oram, Faye's only brother, had to rent a house for his sister so that she would not be homeless. Faye lived alone with her 3 children, and she was always sad and very depressed. Meanwhile, Amara lived happily with her husband Oram and their 5 children. Hi friends, it's me again. Thank you so much for watching my story to end. So I like to hear your thoughts on this one. What do you think about Faye? Do you think she deserved all that she had to go through? Also, I like to hear, has someone ever mocked you, like at your weakest point, with your point of pain, and how did it turn out like? Did you see karma happen, or you still waiting for karma to happen? Please share your thoughts with me, and please support my channel by subscribing, liking my videos, and sharing with your loved ones. So now, until I come your way again with more interesting stories. Bye.